I love talking with passionate business owners. Their enthusiasm is irresistible, their knowledge is invaluable, and their wisdom holds the keys to transforming your passion into a successful business. As a marketing strategist, I help people around the world innovate and grow their business. I'm Jay Hamilton-Roth, and this is Business with Passion. This is the first of a two-part episode on the passionate people responsible for making San Francisco's Fleet Week a success. Today's episode features Navy personnel from the USS Makin Island and some of the people who helped put on the heart-thumping airshow.
San Francisco Fleet Week Committee was transformed this year with a new chairman, Major General Mike Myatt, who has taken the focus of Fleet Week and added disaster preparedness. The Marines and the Navy were down in Haiti helping that country, and that's where he got the idea that if there's a big one in the Bay Area, the Navies and the Marines will be called in to assist. So he's got them here now training with the local first responders, so the San Francisco Police and Fire know how best to employ the Navy and the Marines when they come up. They have a guest speaker, the commander of 4th Fleet, who ran the operation in Haiti. And he's brought some great lessons learned on how the Marines were employed and the Navy was employed. So it's just a wonderful benefit to the Bay Area to have this Fleet Week, which we never had before. We had an air show and took care of the sailors. And that is still the focus, is the city can welcome the men and women serving. And it's not about the policies, because it often is in this part of the country, but not this weekend. It is about the men and women serving. And so with the disaster preparedness, the city and the community can really see an added benefit to having Fleet Week here.
So this is USS Makin Island. We are the last of the Wasp-class, but we can be considered a class of its own because of our engineering system. We have a hybrid engineering propulsion plant, which includes 2 gas turbines and 2 auxiliary propulsion motors. 75% of an amphib's life is spent under 12 knots. The auxiliary propulsion motors are powered by the ship's diesel generators, and they can make the ship go through the water up to 12 to 13 knots. So it saves lots of gas, lots of money, and over the ship's lifetime we should save about millions and millions of dollars using this technology.
I came from Los Angeles, California. I got here in the United States February 17 of '99. And after that, a couple of months, I joined the Navy. The reason why I joined the Navy, really, is for me to explore the world, have something different in my life. Go to different places, and go to school, of course. I know the Navy and the military can offer me a lot of things, a lot of opportunities out there. Not only the experience that I will gain, but of course the knowledge that I can get when I get out of the Navy after 20 years. So maybe more than 20 years. I love what I do. I love it really. I mean, I'm not going to be here more than 10 years now if I don't like it. I'm very passionate about my job.
I enlisted in the Navy in September 1985. My hometown is Great Falls, Montana. I went through MEPS processing in Butte, Montana. I joined the Navy right out of high school because I really didn't have a lot of direction in my life. Didn't have money for college. Navy was hiring. We were in the middle of the recession. The Reagan era was going on and the buildup of the American military. And the Navy seemed a very appealing aspect. My father had been in the Navy, and so it seemed like a pretty good choice for me to make. And they offered some pretty good training programs, so signed up.
Well, I enlisted into the Navy back in 1998, 12 years ago. Reason being was because I felt like there was a lot of opportunity in the Navy, more opportunities, in my opinion, than some other services, just to see some different things that I normally would not be able to see, as well as opportunities as far as education and being able to work as well as go to school at the same time.
I was always interested in some sort of civil service growing up, and when I was looking around at colleges in high school, I went to the Naval Academy, and the campus is absolutely gorgeous, and my desire to serve in some capacity in the Naval Academy, it just fit, and I was accepted, and 6 years later, here I am.
I enlisted October of '07 in San Diego. I enlisted because I wanted to help out my family. I mean, I have 2 kids, and I figured the best way to help out my son and my wife was to join the Navy, to join the military for that matter. So that's kind of the way I went. And of course, traveling, I mean, you get to see a lot of different places you never got to see before. So that's a big plus to me. And being a military family, getting around and seeing different stuff, helping people out is one of my main goals.
I wake up in the morning around 5 o'clock in the morning, come to work. I always look forward to come to work. Although I'm in the engineering department, it's going to be tough with my job, but this is what I do. This is what I love to do. This is what I'm trained to do. So every day is a hectic day for me. We have to make sure all this ship, the electrical side of the house on board the ship, make sure all of them are operational in everyday living that we do. Make sure I provide power, electricity to all those, whoever needs it. And typically every day is a hectic day for us. Sometimes you go home late, sometimes early, but it doesn't really bug me at all.
A typical day for me, I'm a department head, I'm the ship's navigator. So a typical day at sea for me usually begins somewhere between 4:30 and 5. I'll roll out. I have radar and navigation equipment in my stateroom. I can check the ship's position. They call me throughout the night and update me if there are any changes from what I've expected. Once I check that ship's position, I check email, anything that might have come in through the night, any taskers I need to take care of. Then grab a shower, grab some breakfast. I'm in a business where I've probably got the shortest commute in the world because my cabin is 20 feet from the bridge. So other than going down 6 flights of stairs and back up after I eat, it's a short stroll. I check the weather, and then my day is spent planning any upcoming transits we have to make, anything dealing with navigation, supervising the bridge watch standards and the navigation of the ship, continually checking our position, training my watch team, and then checking the secondary navigation system for the ship down in CIC, Combat Information Center. And then as a department head, we meet every evening. We eat dinner, and then we have an evening meeting with the captain. We brief him on the next day's events, sort out our plan for that day. I brief any events that I have, and then we meet with the executive officer and discuss the details of executing that plan that was briefed to the commanding officer. Finish up the night by closing up any loose ends left from that, responding to any outlying taskers I've got, checking the bridge again, make sure everything's okay with that. I write the captain's night orders, get them signed for him, and then pass those on to the watch teams, then hit the rack, get 6 hours of sleep, and start it all over again.
Well, my typical day is being an air traffic controller. It consists of actually doing equipment checks in the morning. Then once we have gotten the equipment checks completed, then we'll start off with our daily flight operations, where we'll talk to aircraft in the air and we'll just give them a safe landing on board the ship, basically. And we do that normally every day. And after flight ops normally goes for about 10 hours. And once we're done with that, it's off to any and everything else.
Well, I get here in the morning around 6 o'clock, check my email, and then I meet with my department head and other senior chiefs, see what's on the plate for the day. And I meet with my division, and we plan out the projects we have to complete for today and then the future. And then from there, I just see what's in my email box again. I'm a public affairs officer, so always getting these surprise emails and surprise tasking, so I just kind of take it day by day, and it's just really exciting. I really enjoy my job. It's something different every day, and I get to see my work. I get to see the people who work for me. I get to see their work displayed, so it's a very rewarding job.
Well, my typical day is, it varies. I mean, it starts early off for me. For one, I get up in the morning, I do a little prayer, and then I start my day off with going to breakfast in the morning and trying to get work done as far as temps, because we do need to take temps in our mag. And we muster around 07:30, and you do your cleaning stations, and like I said, we have ammo we have to put up and break down. We do that, and wherever the day takes me, that's where I go.
After 10 more years, I'll be retiring, and hopefully I'll be working for the government. Hopefully I'll be an electrical engineer when I get out of the Navy. After 10 years, I'm actually pursuing the career as an electrical engineer. Hopefully when I get out, I'll be working for some big companies like the Parsons, and my dream was to be in NASA. So hopefully by joining this military, it can help me out a lot, be out there.
I think post, I'll probably be in the Navy. I've got 25 years now. I'll probably do another 15. And I'll probably start a charter fishing business or do something where I really don't have to work, but I'll work because I want to.
I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, born and raised. My brother was in the Navy. my father was in the Army, and so it was only fitting that I did something along those lines. I listened to them talk about their stories. I listened to them talk about where they've been, where they went to, and the things that they did, and I thought they were always interesting, and I wanted to have my own stories, and now I do. I share them with my father all the time, and we talk about some of the same places that he went to, that I've gone to, like Greece and Rota, Spain, things like that, and just growing up, he was a positive influence on my life, and so now I want to do the same thing for my family and for my son and my girls.
I really didn't know. I knew I was going to be a surface warfare officer, but I didn't know what my division officer job was going to be. I used to be in engineering. That was a great learning experience, different lifestyle, but it was very useful, and I had some really great chiefs and officers to learn under. About a year and a half ago, I became the public affairs officer, and since then it's been just an extremely rewarding career. The ship, with its hybrid technology and whatnot, has made it a very interesting year and a half and very busy, but I'm happy. I really enjoy what I do, and it makes me want to stay in the Navy.
What I do is I'm loading bombs. I do your GBU-12s, your GBU-24 Bravo-Bravos, anything that has to deal with ordnance, I deal with it. We set it up, we send it up to the flight deck, and G1 takes it from there. My dad is actually, he's a retired gunny for the Marine Corps. So I have a military background, so I'm used to this. I'm used to the military structure and how everything works and how everything's on a fly. You just got to go with the flow.
Actually, I'm not really an alone person. I always love to work with different kind of people. It doesn't matter what race they are. I work with every personalities, be it, different races. I don't have anything in me that stops me from working by myself. I have to be with them, I have to be with the people, learn with them, learn from my leadership, and hopefully they'll learn from me as well.
I think this is the greatest nation on earth. I believe in our Constitution, that despite all the issues we have, despite all the politics, despite the perceived differences, that we are one people under one Constitution that has formed the most successful government this world has ever seen. I believe enough in that to fight for it and protect it with my life. This is my passion. This is what I love. I originally joined because of service to my country more than anything, but I stayed with it because I love interacting with the people I meet, the cultures I've met. I have broadened my horizons so far beyond anything I could have experienced, and I see that every day. What keeps me going is the young men, the 19, 20, 21-year-old young men and women that are truly the lifeblood of this organization, and their drive to do what I did 20 years ago keeps me young, keeps me in perspective, and keeps me wanting to do what I'm doing here.
I've had a good time on this tour. It's been a big learning experience for myself. I've been in the Navy for 12 years, and I've learned a whole lot about myself, along with other people, as well as how to bring a ship to life. I've also learned more about my craft, more about my rating and my job, and mainly the main point I want to come away with is that I've learned more. I've been open to new and different things, and I've learned a lot.
Well, when I was growing up, I'd visit my grandparents, and my grandfather was in the Army. So he didn't really talk about the Army too much, but my grandmother, she was in the waves, and she was so active. When I would go to her house, she'd say, "Oh, I'm going to my wave meeting. I'm excited to see my Navy girls." And looking back at why did I choose this path, I really think that had a strong influence. From a young age, that's what she would tell me, and here I am now in the Navy.
Stay positive in anything you do. I mean, obviously what we do is hard, but if you stay positive and have a good outlook on everything that you do, you will accomplish many, many things.
There's an extreme amount of room for individuality. In fact, I think that's what gives the service its strength. That while we have uniformity in certain things, we dress alike, we certainly use the same terminology, we've got rules and regulations, but those do not prevent you from being an individual person. They do not prevent you from identifying with a certain culture. I like to present myself as a bit of a sophisticated redneck, having grown up in Montana, but now that I've seen all but Antarctica of the world. I've been on all 6 continents, major cities all over the world, and interfaced with probably just about every subculture in America because of the sailors I've dealt with, and recognize that our strength is actually those individualities, whether it be a strength you draw from your gender, a strength you draw from your ethnicity, a strength you draw from your subculture, or a strength you draw from your religion. They all come together to give you unique attributes that make you that individual that fits in with a team, and then the synergy of that team is what makes us such a amazing organization.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fleet Week 2010. A wonderful tradition here in San Francisco, held every year.
I started as a kid doing aerobatics, and about 15, 16 years ago I was a competition guy and I got offered a job doing an air show. Had never thought about getting paid, so I tried it, and the next thing I knew it took off and I was a full-time air show guy. I fly the Geico Extra 300 and I'm a full-time air show pilot. Well, it's the Extra 300S built in Germany. It pretty much has one purpose in life, that's hardcore aerobatics. It's a monoplane, it's a great airplane. And I've been flying with Geico now 7, 8 years, and prior to that I had a big life insurance company, so I'm very fortunate. So pretty much for the entire 15, 16 years I've been doing this, I've had sponsorship, which is the key. You can't do this full-time without sponsorship. We're coast to coast. We'll be in Seattle one weekend and New York the next, and back in Washington State the next, so we're all over the country. There's 350 guys that have a license to do this. There's only about 6 of us that do it full time that really make a living at it. So people in the industry become aware of who you are, you know, and after 15, 16 years of doing it full time, it's relationship stuff. They've seen you, they've worked with you, they know what you do, and they hire you based on that primarily. I'm just gonna, as long as I'm feeling good and loving it, I'm gonna keep doing it, and I enjoyed it a lot. It's great.
Since I've been 5 years old, my mom takes the blame or the credit, your choice. The only way she could keep me quiet as a child was to take me to the airport and let me watch airplanes. So ever since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to fly airplanes, and I've never had a real job. That's all I've ever done. Spent 20 years in the military, flying fighters in the Navy. Started in 1969 when I graduated from college. Actually was a co-op student for United prior to that, and I'm sitting today not 20 feet from where I sat as a co-op student in 1968. So 20 years in the Navy and 21 years with United. I'm the lead demo pilot for Fleet Week. Helped to design the profile that you're going to see over the weekend and practice it and perform it. Putting on a demonstration in a large airplane is different than flying it in normal operations or even in test operations. The considerations are different. You're flying a lot closer to the ground. It's a question of using the same professionalism, though, of practicing and being very comfortable in the profiles so that we can execute the maneuvers safely and put on a good show for the people. I think it is primarily a marketing event. You know, San Francisco is one of our largest hubs. It is certainly one of our largest international hubs, and we consider San Francisco sort of one of our homes, and we want to show our colors, so to speak, to the public. I'm going to be 63 in December, so I'd like to keep flying as long as my health holds out for probably another 4 or 5 years anyways. So I enjoy what I do for a living.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Gordon Bowman-Jones, and on behalf of United Airlines and our 8,700 Bay Area employees, I'd like to welcome you to Fleet Week 2010.
You know, I've been flying since 1969, and a number of years ago I started off actually with Eddie Andrini, the local Bay Area aerobatic pilot. He asked me to announce for him at Watsonville. That was my very first air show, Watsonville, 1971. It sort of went on from there, where other people at other air shows came by and said, "Hey, would you like to announce our air show?" And for a good number of years, I did it absolutely gratis. I just enjoyed doing it until it got to a point where it was no longer an avocation, it started to become a vocation. But they were very reluctant to pay me back in those early days. So I had to get to Safeway and back somehow. So I told them, "Hey, from here on out, I love your show, but I'm going to charge you $1,000. And they said, $1,000? We don't pay any air show announcer $1,000. And I said, look, I'll probably come along. I'll have a good time at the air show, but if you want me to announce it, that's what it'll cost. The short story is, all 8 of them signed me up for the $1,000, and if I was a rich man, well, I was in that particular year. So I signed up and I did that, and it really was upward from there. One of the enjoyable things about what I do, talking about airplanes, is that I get to fly an awful lot of them. I have my own restored Stearman that I restored some 30 years ago, and love to fly with the wind in your face and your scarf in the breeze. It's the true way to fly. Unfortunately, I've been able to fly everything from the Gulf blimp all the way through to MiG superjets, and it's been an absolute ball. My father took me to my first air show when I was 6 years old in Australia, and I absolutely stood in astonishment as the Royal Australian Air Force Telstars flew their de Havilland Vixens at that time, is what they were flying. And it has been my motto ever since that time, at 6 years old, that if I can bring just a fraction of the joy I felt that day to an air show audience, I feel I've done my job.
Stay tuned for part 2 of the San Francisco Fleet Week show, which includes more of the air show participants, including the U.S. Navy's Flight Demonstration Squadron, the Blue Angels.